Hey guys, it's Drake with the RPG Construct. We are going to do a part 2 in our series about combat in Call of Cthulhu 7th edition for firearms. I did a part 1 where we're pretty much just talking about, punching, kicking, improvised weapons, melee attacks, things like that. Now, firearms are fairly similar. There's just a few changes, so I wanted to give it its own, section. Okay, so the first thing with firearms is every round is resolved the same way as the first with opposing rolls. Okay, in that normal dexterity order of the highest dexterity goes first. Okay, except with firearms, if before you go into a room you ready the action, you ready that firearm, you get ready to shoot. Okay, it's a lot shorter for you to just raise a gun and shoot versus swinging with a sword or a club or something like that, or a dagger, all those things. So if you ready, excuse me, if you ready an action to fire, okay, your dexterity for the purposes of that round, okay, you add plus 50 to your dexterity. Chances are that will put you to the head of the line for turns. Unless, of course, other people are doing the same thing. So then it just kind of evens out. But anyway, so same thing, just like in the melee combat. You have 4 levels on your rolls. You have a failure, meaning you rolled above your skill, your firearm skill. This could be handguns and then shotguns or rifles. They actually separate it. Okay? So you can do a failure if you roll above what your skill is. A success is equal to your skill or lower. A hard success is half of your skill or lower. And an extreme success is 1/5 of your skill or lower. Okay? The other thing that's slightly different with regards to firearms is if someone is shooting at you with a firearm or you're shooting at someone else, unless you are extremely close to that person, you cannot choose to fight back. The only thing that you can really do is dodge in whatever way you see fit. So the person shooting the firearm will roll against their firearm skill. The person being shot at will roll with their dodge skill. Whoever has the highest level of success will then win, okay, for that particular one. Now, when it comes to difficulty, okay, each firearm has a base range, 30 feet, 40 feet, 100 feet, whatever it is. Okay, it's in the Keeper book, and I'm sure it's in the Investigator book too. As far as difficulty goes, that the base range is going to be a regular difficulty, right? Pretty simple. Long range is up to twice of the range of vehicle. So if a revolver's range is 15 feet and you're 30 feet away and you want to hit that guy 30 feet away with the revolver, it's going to be a hard difficulty, meaning you're going to have to roll half of your skill. Okay, so much less able to do it. Extreme difficulty level would be considered very long range for a firearm. That is up to 4 times what the base is. So with something like a revolver, if its standard is 15 feet, you could go up to 60 feet away and still have a chance to hit this creature or person, whatever it is, if you choose to shoot at them. Very small chance, but still a chance. Okay? So difficulty when it comes to firearms is primarily based off of your distance or the range of that, of whatever target you're shooting at. So when it comes to shooting firearms, there's a lot of situational things. Okay, in the last, I think before the combat, I did a short little 2-minute video about penalty dice and bonus dice. When it comes to firearms, that's where a lot of these things come into play based on the situation. Okay, so let me give you an example, and I'm just going to go right through the Keeper book. If someone that you're shooting at is diving for cover, they notice you a split second before you start shooting, and they dive for cover. Or if you dive for cover, seeing that somebody's going to shoot at you, the shooter takes 1 penalty die. That means instead of rolling 1, you roll 2 of the percentile die, and whichever one is, penalty, whichever one is higher, whichever one is worse, that's the one that you will take. because this guy's just diving to the ground. Now, with regards to diving for cover, if you dive for cover, basically you lose that turn, okay? Because you're jumping to the ground, you're finding cover. You have to get back up. That takes a little bit. So if you haven't gone in that round, in that combat round, that is what your action is for that round. If you've already gone that round, that is your action for the next round. So basically you lose a turn, but chances are you were safe, okay? Stuff like that. Cover and concealment is the next one. If you're shooting at something that's concealed or partially concealed or has cover, you're shooting through trees, you're shooting through a fence, you're shooting, anything that's going to be in your way, so you don't have direct line of sight to all of whatever you're shooting at, is going to be, again, another penalty dice. So you roll those 2 percentile dice, whichever one's higher, that's the one that you're going to take, whichever one's worse. Okay? Pretty simple. This stuff makes logical sense, guys. I mean, if you're shooting a firearm at somebody standing 15 feet away from you and there's nothing between you, you're pretty good. If you're shooting through trees and a fence, it's going to be a little bit more of a difficult shot, right? Logical, makes sense in the world. Next is point blank range. If you're shooting somebody really close, okay? I'm just going to read it. If the target's at point blank range within 1/5 of the shooter's dex, okay, so let's say the dex is 50, so 10 feet from the shooter, then, hold on 1 second, then you're going to get one bonus die to the attack. But if you are at point blank range within 1/5 of your dex, keep this in mind. If a creature is that close, chances are they can fight back as well as dodge. Okay? So it's risk and reward. You get a bonus to shooting them because you are so close, but they're also able to fight back. So you may try to shoot them and they may fight back and have a higher level of success, and you may be the one who takes damage. So it's safer to still stay back a little bit, but situationally it works. So point blank range, you get a bonus die. You roll those percentile, whichever one does better is the one that you use, okay? Aiming. If you aim a firearm, you get 1 bonus die to it. Makes sense. You're being careful. You're looking down the barrel, shotgun, revolver, whatever you want to call it, rifle. It's great. You get a bonus die to that because you're taking your time and being careful in your shot. Okay. That being said, if you lose concentration or you take damage, you don't use that anymore. You can't aim while getting hurt. Okay. But if you're just aiming down the barrel, you get a bonus die in firearms. If your target is moving very fast, if it has a movement rate of 8 or higher, you are going to get a penalty die. If that thing is just going full speed and it can move at 8 or 9 plus, you're going to get 1 penalty die when you're trying to shoot him. If he's just at a sprint, it's a little bit more difficult to hit a moving target, right? It makes sense. So again, really fast runner, really fast movement, you're going to get a penalty die if you're trying to shoot him. If that creature is moving. If the creature's standing there, obviously, you're not going to have a penalty. Keep in mind, guys, if you are trying to shoot something really big, it's pretty easy. If you're trying to shoot something really small, it's going to be hard. Per the rules, if smaller targets are harder to hit. If a target has a build of -2 or smaller, you apply 1 penalty die. So if this is a very small person or very small creature, when you try to shoot it, it's going to be a smaller target, so it's going to be harder. The keeper will apply 1 penalty die to it. Okay. Same thing. Larger creatures are easier to hit. So if you have a target with a build of 4 or higher, you will apply 1 bonus die. Okay. Pretty simple. Small creatures, hard to hit. Big creatures, easy to hit. Penalty die, bonus die. Very simple, right? Reloading firearms. You can't just keep shooting, an infinite amount of ammo. Shotguns carry maybe 2 shells. Rifles maybe 3 or 4. Handguns, revolvers maybe 6, especially back in the 20s. So what do you do with that? You can take, let's read it directly. You can load 2 shells in a handgun, rifle, or shotgun per round. and 1 round to exchange a clip if you need it. In a round, okay, it is possible to put in 1 bullet or 1 round of ammunition in the chamber and get 1 shot off. So if you're just in a rush and you just want to do 1 shot, put it in, shoot, that's fine, but you have to take a penalty die. Okay? Keep that in mind. So you can do it once you're out of bullets. If you don't want to take a round to put more than that, you can do 1 shot and put in 1 bullet. Okay? But if you do, you're going to be rushed, so it's going to be basically with disadvantage with a penalty die. When it comes to handguns, several of them can fire multiple shots per round. Some can fire 2 or 3 shots per round. Okay? If you are just firing, let's see, if you're just firing 1 shot, okay, you're fine. It's not a big deal. But if you're, just firing for effect, just 2 and 3 shots, just you're going to do 1 penalty dice for each one of those shots, because you're not really aiming carefully. You're just trying to get off as many bullets as possible, right? So with those, you are going to get a penalty die as well. All right. I know it sounds like there's a lot of penalties to firearms, but think about the advantages of firearms too. You can be really far away. You can you can kill things very quickly because they do a ton of damage in relation to melee, but it is harder to hit with them because you're further away. You have to aim and things like that. Let's see, what's the next one we're going to do? Oh yeah. So the final thing about firearms, guys, if your companions are engaged in some type of a melee combat, with a tussle with someone or something, and you shoot into that, group, when you're fighting around and wrestling around, people are going to be covering each other. The people are going to be moving around. It's going to be really hard to get a good shot off. So what you do with that is you will roll with a penalty when you shoot into a crowd, especially if it's of your companions. And the catch to that is, if you fumble, if you basically critically fail, you're going to hit and cause damage to your ally. So it's a lot of risk, but obviously if he's engaged with someone else, that person he's engaged with is not paying attention to you, so you're safe. The risk is not to you. The risk is to the person that's engaged. Okay? So there is, the other thing, guys, is a whole 3 or 4 pages on automatic weapons. I'm not going into that because personally, I really don't want a modern setting. I'm not looking at a modern setting, but in the Keeper's Guide, page 114 through page 118 has a bunch of different stuff. Not going to do that. But the final thing that I want to talk about was weapons can malfunction. Okay, they are a machine. In the back of the book, there's a bunch of tables with different weapons. Revolvers, rifles, shotguns, stuff like that. There is a number in there in a D100, so between 1 and 100. If you roll that number, your weapon malfunctions. Okay, the slide in a rifle could get jammed. There could be a bullet stuck somewhere. There could be just like a dud round, blah, blah, blah. But when that happens, when that weapon malfunction happens, you have to roll a 1d6. And it takes that many combat rounds for you to clear that malfunction. So if you roll a 6, if all you do is focus on this weapon for 6 rounds, you'll be able to fix it. It doesn't permanently hurt the gun or anything like that, but it basically nullifies the use of the weapon. So if you just critically fail on a roll, if you have an extreme failure or a fumble, as they call it, that's when a lot of these things will happen. But different guns have different things. Most of them are 98, 99, 100. So it's only a very small chance. But if you think about it, that can have a big impact if your revolver is the only weapon you have and you're out for 6 rounds and you're surrounded by ghouls or cultists or something. So that's about all I'm going to get into right now, guys. The next one I'm going to be doing is wounds and healing. And thank you for sticking with me through, we're about a third of the way through the Keeper's Guide now. I'm just doing a bunch of these little snippet videos. That way everybody can kind of absorb it with me. But I hope it's making sense to you. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back very soon with the next installment with Wounds and Healing. Have a great day, guys.